let's jump into the news. So I have to start with Donald Trump. And the reality about Donald Trump is that Donald Trump is so successful because of how much attention the media, including internet and progressive hosts, how much attention we give Donald Trump. Now, I'm fully aware of that. However, I think it's worthwhile discussing this latest issue with the KKK, with David Duke from the Ku Klux Klan, along with the broader conversation. Let me stop setting it up and let me just go into it. Okay, by now you already know that on a Sunday interview on CNN, Donald Trump repeatedly declined to reject the endorsement from David Duke. David Duke of the KKK, once a former Grand Dragon or whatever, like white supremacist extraordinaire, right? He's a first-class white supremacist, endorsed Donald Trump's campaign. Donald Trump on Sunday pretended as though he didn't know who David Duke was, even though he in 2008, thanks to John Oliver, I've forgotten about this. In 2008, he tweeted out that David Duke was a racist. And so now he's pretending as though he didn't know who he was, because he knows, Donald Trump knows full well that the David Duke contingency in the Republican Party is a huge portion of his voting base. So he knows he can't piss off the white supremacists, because the white supremacists actually are a part of his big tent. He has some black people in his big tent. I would never understand. Maybe I can understand why, but no, I don't understand why. He has some Mexicans in his tent. You know, he has a big, broad tent, and it looks as though he's going to pummel these people tomorrow on Super Tuesday. And what's most amazing about this is that people are trying to understand how they can bring him down. And this is the only reason I want to talk about Donald Trump, is because he cannot be brought down by the GOP. He is their creation. They have been playing to the Southern strategy dog whistle for a very long time. And now and hang on, before I even finish that thought, let me back up. It's not just the GOP fault, which is why I'm even mentioning it right now in the context of the Democratic primaries, right? The Democratic Party has something to do with the creation and the success of Donald Trump. I'll get to them in a second. Right now, the GOP playing their Southern racist, Southern strategy, dog whistle racism, strategic racism over the last 40 years, all of their chickens have come home to roost. Yes, they are damned by Donald Trump, and there's nothing they can do to stop him. Donald Trump tomorrow very well may be the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. That's because Donald Trump is the representation of what the Republican Party has become, because of the Republican Party, aided by some things in the Democratic Party, which I'll unpack in a minute. There was a guy, I don't know his name. He had a tweet. He said that, and I retweeted him, or I quoted the tweet, and he said that he's been a lifelong Republican. And the fact that Donald Trump is in the front runner, supported by the KKK, proves or demonstrates that everything the Democrats have been saying about them has been true. And, you know, no kidding, right? There are some things about the Republican Party that are just disgusting. Now, this doesn't mean all Republicans are bad. I have some Republican friends, right? I have some conservative friends that are some of the best people in the world. I would not exchange them for anybody. But that's not the entire base. That is not the entire Republican Party. And the fact that Donald Trump is leading in the polls and is probably going to be the next nominee is that I'm sorry, I was reading a note from the producer. So anyway, is indicative of the fact that the Republican Party has essentially lost their minds. And this is the result. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it in the middle of a Democratic primary is because there's another reason Donald Trump is so successful. And that is because America has been fully inoculated against identity politics, at least the right. The identity politics game still has an effect on the left. And I'm going to help you guys get over that shit tonight. Because the identity politics, like I said last week, it's like an antibiotic. When you use it too much and you use it incorrectly, people become immune to it, or the effects of it, it's no longer effective. That's the phrase I'm looking for. And Democrats have played. And don't get me wrong, it has been beneficial. It has been necessary at times. It has been, it has helped move some issues forward. But as of late, Democrats have been playing an identity politics game that the Republican Party has just been waiting on someone to come around who has zero F's to give and will not cave into identity politics. And that is Donald J. Trump. We see the results of this identity politics game, or we see another version rather of this identity politics game being played on Bernie Sanders, where it's all about identity, all about minimizing, erasing any nuance, just really dismissing any complexity in a conversation, and just throwing and hurling the label of racist, or the label of homophobe, or the label of sexist at the feet of someone you just don't agree with. And unfortunately, even people like me, I'm not going to say that I'm above the fray on this. Actually, no, I might be. Because I always, in a conversation, I always try to find the nuance and never play to the intentional obtuseness that is being played right now by the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton supporters attacking Bernie Sanders. Because in order for you to believe for 1 second that Bernie Sanders is racist, you have to ignore all nuance, and you're playing a manipulative identity politics game. And you know what? The Republican Party just doesn't care anymore. They don't care if Donald Trump says something that is racist, because we've been doing it for so long. We've been calling everybody that disagreed with President Obama ever was called by simpleton liberals racist, right? Simpleton liberals who wanted to take advantage of the fact that President Obama was black. They called everyone who disagreed with him racist. And now it just has no effect anymore. Nobody cares if you call them a racist. They've got somebody in Donald Trump who not only can be racist, but be successfully racist. So who the hell cares if you call him a racist? He can still be successful. They've pulled your whole card. And it's not all the Democratic Party fault. It is absolutely, I would say, the majority of the problem falls at the feet of the Republican Party, because they have genuinely been racist. They have genuinely played racist games, right? Some people oppose President Obama just because they were racist, without a doubt, right? But when you have progressives and liberals come in and just muddy the water when there could be a legitimate criticism against President Obama, and you just hurl, oh, you just don't like him because he's a racist, then all of a sudden, 8 years later, that has zero effect on the conversation. Identity politics is like an antibiotic. When you use it too much and you use it too often, it becomes ineffective. And then I can take this analogy one step further, right? A super virus comes along. You've been playing games with it for so long, Democrats, that a super virus by the name of Donald J. Trump comes along that cannot be touched or affected or cured by your identity politics game. And so what they do instead, we haven't even gotten to the point where they've gone heads up against Donald Trump. It looks like it's going to be Donald Trump. He may not win Texas, but he's going to win probably every other state, which means he's going to be the nominee. And the Democratic Party is too busy trying to crown Hillary Clinton, using identity politics games, and they're doing like the guns of August. They're going into World War I using outdated modes of attack. You are not going to beat Donald Trump with identity politics. You're going to get into not even an entrenched war. It's not even going to last that long. It's going to go from whatever, August until November, and you're going to be dead on arrival, because you're going to take a person, you're best effort is to get somebody like Hillary Clinton and pit them against Donald Trump, thinking that the identity politics is going to carry you, that women are going to come out in droves and people who are afraid of his racism are going to come out in droves. And you know what? The fact of the matter is, I'm black. I have very distinct identities, and I don't give a damn about your identity politics anymore. What do you think is going to happen to all the white voters in the South? You think they have 1 second of concern about the fact that Donald Trump is a racist? The jig is up. You've overplayed your hand. You've gone so far with it that it is ineffective, and you're the dying pangs. And again, let me reiterate something. There is substance and an effectiveness that identity politics has and should continue to have and should be maintained, to have a unique identity and to make your votes based on that identity. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you overuse it and you manipulate it and you play to it, you create a monster that cannot be affected by your claims of racism or sexism or xenophobia. The only thing, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I know you guys can. I haven't heard him say anything against the LGBTQ community. But hell, he's gone in on the media. He's gone in on handicapped people. He's gone in on everybody. And you know what? He just keeps growing. And here, Democrats are trying to play race and identity politics games against Bernie Sanders. Thinking y'all are going to roll up into the general election and get your ass handed to you because you're fighting the wrong fight. Let's take this caller. What the hell? Why not? Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and